Hi everyone, George Christie here with Wine Industry Network. Welcome to the final session of the Wine Industry Sales Symposium. This session is titled The Roadmap for Tapping into the Corporate Sales Opportunities. And there are a tremendous number of opportunities out there that I think a lot of wineries aren't really aware of. It's just not something that they have on the radar. So I think you're going to really enjoy this one. Before we begin, I want to thank all of our sponsors. Once again, we could not do this without their support. We wouldn't be able to offer all of the educational sessions that we do for free without their help. So I'm going to hand it over to Jennifer Warrington. Jennifer is the glue at WISS Academy, and I think she does a terrific job moderating the session. Jennifer, take it away.
This session is sponsored by Comerica Bank. To grow your money, move beyond everyday banking.
You've got a lot to communicate, and if you can just get people to pay attention, you'll delight your customers and sell more wine. But people ignore emails and screen calls. Everyone does read their text messages, but alcohol regulations make compliance a bear. Use RedChirp to cut through the noise. Convert website traffic into reservations and sales with web-to-text chat. Reliably reach members about customizing club orders, declined cards, and delinquent pickups. Exceed your sales goals with customized promotions that make everyone feel like a VIP. Securely collect credit card info 6 times faster. Reduce returns and no-shows with completely automated shipment notifications and reservation reminders, while order attribution automatically connects text to sales so you know what's working. RedChirp is trusted by wineries of all sizes and integrates with your other tools. Get more leads, make more sales, and build stronger relationships with RedChirp.
Great, thanks, George. $242 billion. $242 billion. This is what the corporate gifting industry is currently worth. Should I say that again? $242 billion. This report by Foresight Research estimates that the industry will continue to grow by another 6.6% year over year. Are you tapping into your corporate gifting potential there? In this session, we'll learn about key elements of building or reinventing a successful corporate gifting program. Our industry experts will share with us how to get started, what to look for, and key takeaways. My name is Jennifer Warrington, and I'm the glue at WISS. We believe that a rising tide lifts all boats, and that the wine industry deserves strong leaders, healthy teams, DTC mastery, and winery success. At WISS, we do this by being the professional development leaders that will focus on both DTC and general leadership to provide relevant classes, mystery shopping, coaching, consulting, as well as our cabinet programs. So enough about me. Let's get to our experts. All right, experts, if you could please introduce yourselves, tell us about your job and what makes you such an expert at corporate gifting. Susan Cole, I'll let you start.
Thank you, Jen. My name is Susan Cole. I've been over 30 years in the wine industry and for a longer career in direct-to-consumer. And I count as my specialty corporate sales because I started the corporate sales division at Harry and David up in Medford, Oregon. And then I have continued to work in corporate sales development for wineries in all the years that I've been consulting in the wine industry. So it's a special place in my heart, corporate sales, and I'm looking forward to chatting with everyone today about our learnings in corporate sales.
Great. Thank you, Susan. Kelly, how about you?
Hi, I'm Kelly Denny. I work for Farniente Family of Wineries. I took over the corporate gifting department 2 years ago, and we've seen a great rise in sales since we totally focusing on it. And I've been in the hospitality industry in Napa Valley. I would guess you could say on and off my whole life. I'm born and raised in the area.
Great. Thank you. Go ahead, Sonia.
Hi, my name is Sonia Grabsky. I am the general manager for Trinitas Cellars. I have over 20 years in the wine business. I have worked with companies like Terlato Wine Estates, also with Constellation. I've done work for the last 15 years with Iron Horse as well. So I have definitely seen all types of different iterations of corporate gifting and corporate events over the years.
Great. Thank you, ladies. All right, we're going to dive into some questions. I strongly encourage you to put questions in the chat. Our experts are ready to answer questions, so please join in and we'll make this a very interactive round. So first question, ladies. How big a part of your overall DTC business is your corporate gifting for your winery? And what has it been like in terms of the growth? Like if it's big now, was it small before? What's changed? So let us know. Sonia, I'll start with you.
We're a pretty small winery. I want to say right now it's sitting at probably about 7-8%. It's actually grown from about 3% over the last couple of years with really getting focused in on it and having someone that's really, kind of like Kelly, more dedicated to running that program and growing that program.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I would say about the same. We're sitting right about 7%, a little over. It's actually half of the overall department for private client services, so our outbound sales department. Corporate gifting sales make about half of that. We've seen a huge growth since we started keeping track in 2014. It's really grown exponentially, and even more so since having a dedicated person who's focused on growing those sales.
Great, thank you. Susan, question to you. What kind of businesses give gifts and why?
Well, the range of businesses that will choose to give gifts, both at the holiday season and throughout the year, is basically virtually every business. I'm going to highlight the general areas that I think that wineries can approach, certainly real estate. And when I say real estate businesses, I don't just mean realtors and people who are selling and buying real estate, but rather the businesses that are associated with it, the mortgage brokers, the people who bring money to the real estate industry, and title companies. So think broadly in terms of everyone who works in the real estate industry, certainly attorneys, doctors. The medical profession is so specialized right now that all doctors are specializing in very minute areas, and they all need to thank people for referrals. So the complexity of both the legal industry and the medical profession requires that people keep good relationships with their clients and customers and people who refer them. Dealerships, and by this I mean every commodity that you can imagine. Dealerships in cars, certainly, motorcycles, boats, fancy kitchen equipment. Think broadly in terms of dealers who sell things. The pharmaceutical industry has been huge, and I personally have seen and handled $100,000 up to $400,000 orders in the pharmaceutical industry. Certainly, consumer packaged goods and manufacturers. The entertainment industry is very strong, and no one will ever give away the actors and actresses that they're selling to. I know that, but that's a tremendous bank of possibilities. Also think in terms of the networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, Netflix, Apple TV, all of these entities are giving gifts. Lobbyists, think in terms of lobbyists. This is not to say this is the only people. It's as broad as there are businesses. And they do it. Why do they give gifts? To generate goodwill, to improve profits, and ultimately to enhance relationships with their customers, their clients, and their employees.
Great. Thank you, Susan. Kelly, I saw you nodding quite a bit. Does this ring true to you as well? And Sonia, yes? Kelly?
Absolutely. Yeah, these are most of the companies that we gift with. Some of them will gift all year long. That's kind of what we're trying to do is show them it's not just the holiday season, but there's a million different reasons to gift. And then, there's also, think luxury sales departments. So someone who's selling a yacht, they're gifting to the person who just bought the yacht. So there's a lot of different reasons to gift, and there's so many businesses that want to send a thank you gift.
We do a lot with charitable foundations as well. So they have gifting and needs that they need to do, or events that they need wine for. And so we find that works really well for us. Also, real estate agents, that's one, especially if you've got any ability to do customization on your labels. There's, all kinds of little niche groups that you can go after to build your corporate gifting.
Great, thank you. I'm hearing a little bit about all year round. And so typically when people think about corporate gifting, oftentimes I think it's like the end of the year, OND. So sort of playing off that, but also like, when do you start planning for, if OND is the biggest part of it, and I don't know, hopefully you can share that, but when are you starting to plan, and is it really the busiest time is OND?
Yeah, absolutely. October, November, December is definitely our busiest season for corporate gifting, but we've been expanding it all year long, making sure that those clients know there's a million different reasons to gift and to think about us all year long. I start planning usually in January, February time for the following year, meeting with my staff to figure out what they need, what we can do better, what gift items their clients were asking for that we didn't have, and making sure that we just get everything set in place. But I'm also thinking long-term goals. So I don't think you can ever think too far in advance. Some of the packaging and stuff that you need to have in place, you need to think about now to roll out for future clients. So it's never too soon to start thinking about it in those terms. And then have the staff always thinking about it. What clients didn't get the customization that they wanted, the etched logos, logos on cards, make a list, reach out to those clients in June or July, August at the latest, to make sure that we can hit those turnarounds for those clients this year.
Great, thank you. Sonia.
I agree with Kelly. I mean, right now, I'm actually doing my budgeting for next year. So I'm already putting numbers in for next year. And so I have to think about that programming as we're building the budget. Our team right now is very much preparing for OND season and reaching out, just like Kelly said, to the folks that always buy every year and seeing if they want anything different, what can we do for them? So we're already starting to have those conversations with the supply chain issues. Packaging is something we're securing that as well. We've been talking a lot about how do we update the unboxing experience so things feel more like gifts. And so we're working on some, kind of new things for the holiday season this year. We are currently doing all of our photography as well. So this is kind of the time of the year that, some of my wines are just getting, bottled and labeled right now. And so we're pulling those immediately and then getting those, into the holiday pictures. We are actually about to relaunch an evergreen corporate page. So we'll have one that's very much evergreen that they're working on right now. And then we'll also have our holiday focused one that will, go up as well in September. So our team is doing a lot of that footwork right now.
Great, thank you. Susan, what insights and experience can you share? And also, and I'm going to come back to you other ladies as well, say, a winery hasn't thought about it and wants to do it this year. Is it too late? Like, what can they do?
I don't think it's ever too late. Certainly October, November, December is the time that you will start to generate corporate sales, and they'll just come in over the transom. That will happen as well. But my advice is exactly what Kelly and Sonia have both said. Start early. If you really want to get into major corporate sales, and by major, I'm talking about orders that are over $50,000, over $100,000, even up to $500,000 or larger, that is not something that's going to take place instantly. It simply does not. You have to start early and to plan. The largest corporate order that I ever saw was $1.9 million, and it took 3 years to get that sale. The first year, the business trusted us with $100,000 worth of their gifting. The second year, they trusted us with $300,000 worth of their gifting. And finally, in the third year, we got the full package, and it came to $1.9 million. The reason I mentioned these numbers is to get wineries to try to think larger. We all have probably had a $10,000 sale, maybe even a $50,000 sale. And that's wonderful. That's really powerful. And we want to have those kinds of sales. But what you have to do if you're genuinely going to get into corporate gifting is get into the budget of the business that you are trying to sell to. They have to budget, and what you want is for them to be budgeting the proposal that you have made. Sonia mentioned it. She is budgeting now for what they're going to do. That's precisely what a doctor's office or a pharmaceutical company, they're putting a budget together for the following year, and you want them to put into the budget your winery and the proposal that you have. So I echo all of those comments. It's never too late to start, but really starting early and getting into the budgeting process of the business that you're targeting, that's what you want to do.
Thank you. So, okay, well, this is all great information, but where do we start? If we haven't started before, we're new to this, what should we be considering? How do we get started? Kelly, I'll go to you first.
Well, you've got to start mining your list. You've got to start looking at the clients that you already have and targeting them, reaching out to them to let them know that you can even take care of it. But, thinking it all the way through, who's doing your fulfillment, packaging. If you don't have gift boxes right now, maybe you can just do a nice gift card that goes in with the wine. If you don't already have a gift box for it to go with. But I think it starts a lot with coming up with the right price points for your gifts and getting packaging together that looks beautiful, luxury, fits with your brand, because that's what they're looking for. They want it to be, like Sonia said, a beautiful unboxing experience. They want it to feel like a gift.
I completely agree. Look at your inventory and start creating duos and trios and 6-packs, and have someone who's really good at copy create romantic copy so it makes you want to buy that and give that to people. And then obviously working on the packaging, like Kelly said. I think I'll get gifts every once in a while from folks in the wine business, and you just kind of open up and it's a pulp box and there's nothing that feels really gifty. So if you can get that solution where it actually feels more like a gift, people that are sending the gifts and then receiving them are going to tell the people that sent the gifts, wow, it was beautiful, thank you so much. And so you build that confidence. I love the fact that Susan said sometimes it takes several years to get the really big order, but if we start out small and continue to mine that relationship on a regular basis, you can build that. Kelly was saying data mining and going into your database, figuring out who that is. One of the things that we really use is LinkedIn. And so I've got a guy who does all my VIP client services. He goes on and he friends all those folks. Sometimes even me, if someone places a first time order, and I had someone do this recently, it was like a 5,000 website order, first time. I went onto LinkedIn, friended him, and personally thanked him. And so building that relationship, and then we will post on LinkedIn about the fact that we're doing corporate gifting and we've got this available. And it's actually snagged us some new customers last year. That was just because we were actually focused on kind of quietly marketing it out there in other places.
I would pull the camera back a little bit and talk to businesses that maybe aren't as far along as both Kelly and Sonia are. Clearly, they're thinking along these corporate lines, and say that the first step that you have to do is do your research, study the competition, look at those businesses that are already doing corporate sales and doing them quite successfully. And I'll mention a few of those: Harry and David, which is where I started because I started that corporate sales division; Windsor Vineyards in the wine industry that specializes in custom labels on wine; Wine Country Gift Baskets, the company Olive and Cocoa, which started as a specialty just for corporate gifts. And then Nickel and Nickel right here on this panel. Take a look at the website that Kelly's got. So first, do your research. That's step one, I think. Really start to comprehend what other businesses are doing successfully. Second, and I think this is absolutely critical, and both Kelly and Sonia were talking about it in general terms, but communicate within your own winery and all the departments within your own winery so that you are all rowing in the same direction. You have got to have management, marketing, shipping, customer service, even accounting. Everybody's got to be on the same page and willing to negotiate for a really substantial corporate order. It's foundational to success that your entire winery is looking at corporate sales as an avenue, as a channel that they want to pursue, because it requires tremendous flexibility and it requires a tremendous investment on the part of every department within your winery. So those are the two things I'd say. Do your research and make sure you've communicated well and you're all on the same page in your own winery if you're going to start corporate sales.
Right. Thank you. One of the biggest hurdles I've heard about when people are considering or trying to figure out how to do corporate gifting is the fulfillment side of it. And there's nuances about in-state versus out-of-state. How do I do this? And so I'd love to hear from our panelists. Sonia, who do you use fulfillment? How do you manage it? Tell us more.
So last year was our first year that we'd moved over to Copper Peak Logistics, and they did a fantastic job for us. They have packaging available that we can pre-order with them. So we just put our order in for this year's holidays, and they'll get the cards and all of that. So they make that pretty easy. States, that's up to my compliance guy to go through the list and to see what we can and can't do. And so whoever is kind of your team expert for compliance should be looking and seeing what you can be doing. And then also just making sure that it's really clear on your website that there may be some states that you can't ship to. And then you can come up with other solutions for those folks where maybe it's not a bottle of wine, but you're able to put together some other kind of cool branded gift set, whether it's a candle and some, chocolates or something else, so that they're still getting something, but the person in Utah is not getting the wine.
Kelly?
I completely agree with that. As far as who you can ship to and who you can't ship to, it's a little bit out of your hands. That's all compliance. Every time that we get a new state that we're allowed to ship to, we're very, very excited about it. And then we make sure that we mine that list specifically because they haven't been touched by us in a while. And we do our fulfillment through Wine Direct. So they take care of our shipments for us. They're really good and efficient at pre-built gift sets. So we do a lot of that ahead of time. Like Sonia said as well, doing the 2-packs, 3-packs, 6-packs. Always think bigger than you think. You'll get someone who wants the most expensive gift set that you have to offer. So just always think bigger than you think. And they are also doing some customizable stuff for us as well, which is a huge part of our business. So they will build a custom gift set for you. So you can look into them for that, but we provide a lot of our material to them. So gift cards, gift messages, we provide all of that ahead of time. They do have packaging that you can get through them. So if you don't have anything started yet, I would look at them for that. They can do your boxes and belly bands and all that kind of stuff.
And what else do we need to consider in terms of fulfillment? What are we not thinking about that might be a hiccup? Kelly, anything?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong on the fulfillment side of things. Most of it for our team is just making sure that you are very detailed and you look over everything ahead of time. You're just checking all of the detailed information. With Wine Direct, we can send over a spreadsheet so they can place the order on, one charge with one receipt, and everything is nice and succinct for the customer. But we really try and make sure that order has been looked at by multiple people on the team before we send it over, because once you get it in the system, if you put in the wrong SKU or the wrong gift message, you need to look at every line item and make sure that it's perfect before you put the order through.
I agree. And I think also being really upfront about shipping deadlines, it gets more and more compacted. It feels like every holiday season. So it's great that we're having conversations now with people so that we can have these wines, these gift sets packed, ready to ship, on November 15th or December 1st, but that we're not scrambling to try to have it picked, packed and shipped and then get there in time for the holidays. And then, weather can also cause issues too. So you might have a snowstorm somewhere and things get delayed. And so just trying to really work with your fulfillment fulfillment partner and talk to them about their needs if you're going to be doing a lot of volume, because they have to be prepared for that volume.
Great, thank you. So, Susan, I'm going to ask you, what would you recommend in order for wineries to get started in terms of the outreach and you know, under that, like, where do they start with outreach and marketing?
Certainly, the word has been mentioned several times, mine your own database, and I could not agree more. Your own database is low-hanging fruit. And once again, to pull the camera back farther to businesses who may not be as sophisticated in the ways that both Sonia and Kelly are, what you do is sort from your CRM system to business name and get every column every column within your database that has a name of a company filled in. That's where you want to begin. That's mining your own database. These are people who already are enjoying your wines, they're buying your wines, and here you have their business name. So that's the first place for outreach that I would absolutely go. And if you have a column that has a title in your CRM system, look for doctor. And virtually, this is somebody that you can get to because they're already buying wine from your winery. So if you've got doctors are giving gifts constantly for purposes of referrals because they get referrals from other doctors. Once again, the specialty issue. So mine your database. What we mean is find names of businesses that are already in your database and find titles that are already in your database. The second thing I guess I would say to businesses or to wineries that have not been pursuing the corporate marketplace, start with real estate firms. It's easy to understand. The title companies, the mortgage companies, real estate agents and organizations always give gifts. They want to have that bottle of wine on the counter of the new house that's being moved into. They want to give to the title companies that they work with. And title companies in turn want to give gifts to real estate companies. It's easy to understand, very simple concept of gift giving. And so I'd start, easy place to start is with real estate agencies and the whole of the real estate industry.
Right, thanks, Susan. So, Sonia, you've established a healthy program. What are you still learning about your network of corporate clients and, you know, assuming that the job is never done?
I think it's just how to continue to mine it and build relationships. This year, we've actually done some pretty interesting things where we hadn't done before, where we've got a big corporate group coming in that's going to be doing a 100-person like Shape of the Glass tasting in November. They wanted to get those people excited before they come in for their entire conference. And so we actually just about 6 weeks ago did a tasting for them where we actually shipped out 2 bottles to all these folks. We gathered all these new customers, and we ended up doing like a donation to the charity that they were affiliated with. And so and then those guys actually reached back out saying, this is great, like these guys own businesses, they want to do that. The other thing is just being out in market. I've got a guy that does in-home tastings and going out to market, and all the time I'm gathering cards. So I'm going to New York in October for an event. I have now just reached out to a woman who runs the bar association there, right? So you've got 1,500 lawyers that if I can go sample for, I could probably get some gifting out of them. So really thinking how you can be creative. If you're traveling in market, I always say don't just do the market work, figure out how to do a consumer-based event as well, so that you're actually building both sides of your business. And then the other thing is if you've got a family that owns the business, or you've got other brands, or they have other businesses, who are they doing business? Are they doing construction stuff, and can they talk to the construction people? If they've got an accounting firm, talk to their accounting firm. So really kind of figuring out how to leverage your different relationships to build your database.
Kelly, anything to add?
Yeah, I actually really love something that Susan said earlier about making sure your entire team is on the same page. So I think one of the best places to start is people coming into the winery to taste, and making sure that your staff is asking those right questions about what they do for a living, who they are, all that kind of stuff, and then having that information in your database Because if they don't ever ask the question, what do you do for a living? You don't have that company name to be mining in your database. So it really is a whole rounded experience. You want everyone on the team to be on the same page. We got a whole lot of new clients just by doing virtual tastings in 2020. That brought in a large amount of new clients for us and really helped to build the corporate program just in general. If they did a tasting with us, they wanted to do gifting with us later in the year. So it's a lot of meeting the clients where they are. Some, going out in the marketplace, absolutely. If we can't go out into the marketplace, finding another way to reach out to them and let them know that we can host everyone that they're looking to host. So I think there's definitely different ways that you can reach out and mine those lists. If you do corporate events on property, that's a huge database right there. Some wineries don't even think about it. They're just two different programs. That's events is corporate gifting. But if it is a business client, a corporate client, they need to know all the ways that you can host them, all the ways that you can take care of them.
Right. And if I remember correctly, you also work with your team and the teams to incentivize or to encourage that interaction so that you're able to grow your list, or so the tasting room people, making sure they're asking those kinds of questions and then thanking them for giving you business. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. We reward the tasting room staff if they send us a referral and it turns into a gifting client. We'll definitely keep track of those and then make sure that the tasting room sees a kickback or a benefit for sending that on.
Nice, I love it. So in terms of marketing materials, so beyond creating a list and how are we marketing? Do we have catalogs, sell sheets, samples? Sonia, you mentioned an evergreen site. What can you give us some insights? I'll start with you, Sonia. Yeah.
I think I've done quite a few things over the years. I've done the catalogs, both digital and in the mail. We've actually kind of moved to more of a postcard that teases people to go to the website just to be a little bit more responsible to, the world and not have so much paper going out in the mail. But we also, make sure that we have banner ads at the bottom of all of our signatures that talk about holiday gifting. We make sure that we're putting it in our club newsletters. We make sure that we're actually, talking about it on our social media channels. And so, we actually show we're building our holiday gift sets. And so when we do our photography for that, our social media person will come get like a behind the scenes. And so we'll do like a behind the scenes sneak peek to the holiday gifting. So there's lots of things that you can do. And then, like I said, we're in the market traveling, we're talking about it. I think just getting everyone to constantly think, where's the opportunity to get a corporate gift is really important.
Kelly?
Yeah, we used to do the full gift catalog and send that out. Same with Sonia. Just environmental reasons, we've decided to kind of cut back on the full catalog. We did a trifold this year that's a little bit more actually evergreen as well. So it talks about just gifting in general, but it's not necessarily holiday specific. So it lists a whole bunch of different reasons to gift, the benefits of it, but it's talking about our other programs as well. So it's talking about our corporate events. And it's talking about our corporate virtual tastings, because while they're a great funnel for us to get new clients, we're a great funnel for them to get new clients. And if they're going to bring people into us, we want to funnel people back over to them. We do a lot of digital. So we took away the paper catalog and we do a PDF version. So we have a full PDF version, and then we actually have the individual pages. So as you're building those relationships with your clients and you start to learn what their budget is, you can, or when you have them on the phone and you're talking to them, you can actually single out specific gift sets and send them specifically what they're looking for, as opposed to having them get lost in, the pages of the catalog of stuff that doesn't fit in with what they're looking to do.
I wanted to add something there, Jen, if I may. I agree with everything that Sonia and Kelly were saying. And I think what I would add is one of your best marketing tools is asking great questions. You should have a clear and complete view of exactly what your businesses or corporations that you're marketing to, what they need. I always say get outside of ourselves and think about our customer. What do they need? And when you ask those questions, how do they want to see corporate gifts? What do they need? What will help them the most in making their decisions? Then we're going to be guided to what will help us the most to get to these corporations and businesses and how best to market to them. So one other thing, that was what I wanted to add is that we ask questions of our corporate customers, what do they need? So that we have a clear and complete view of everything that they are doing in their corporate program.
Great. I'm going to stick with you and ask you another question. So from your experience over the years, any insights on how wineries should consider how they're pricing their gifts, or any kind of rule of thumb?
I don't know if it's a rule of thumb, but I do have a piece of advice here on pricing. The first thing I'd say is pretty standard, and that is you should have good, better, best pricing. You should have a layer that's for people looking for thrifty gifts, if you will, and then a medium level and then a high level. What my experience has shown in working with wineries is that we are not doing a good job at the top end, which is ironic. I mean, we have fantastic wines, and some of them are very expensive, and we are not doing enough at the wow end of the spectrum. Find the expensive corporate gift, because believe me, businesses are buying them, and you want them to be buying your wines in a just knock their socks off gift. So don't let yourself think outside the box in terms of pricing. Certainly have your levels, because there are businesses who are going to be looking for thrift and finding the way to best use their dollars. But they also need gifts at the very highest end of the spectrum. And the mistake that we make as wineries is always thinking in terms of what our pocketbook might support. And businesses have, if they choose to, almost unlimited monies when you're talking about lobbyists and board of directors. There's a huge amount of money out there, and I don't think we're thinking enough about the expensive gifts, the gifts over $500, even over $1,000. So there's kind of two ways to look at it. You know?
Right. Yes. Let's say $242 billion. Let's keep that in mind.
Thank you for repeating that, Jen. Yes.
Yes. So Sonia, how are you pricing yours? And tell us about discounts. Do you do it? How do you do it? A little bit along those lines. And then
so I think, as Susan said, you've got a good, better, best. I always try to make sure I have something that's at that under $100 mark. So any financial institutions, they have $100 max, including shipping and taxes. So you have to get a little creative on that and have something that's in that all out the door. It's going to go out for $99.99, shipped. And so you've got that one there, but then you work your way up to that mid-level. And then even, maybe someone's not going to buy 100 of them, but somebody might buy 5. But, like this year, we're putting together something that actually has, a vertical wine scent. It actually is, 2 nights at the hotel here in town, and then an opportunity to have lunch or dinner with the winemaker. And so building out some of those, more fantasy, higher level gifts is really good. And you should always do something that's really high and aspirational, because that's where you can get some really good PR and media too, where you can get some earned media with like Rob Report or something like that by doing, that wow over the top gift. You may not sell 100 of them, but it's still going to make people go, oh, that would be cool if I could send that to someone, or if someone would send that to me. And then discounting really depends on the volume. So, we will build in discounting and also the wine, just depending on what the margins on the wine are. So we really kind of approach those larger orders with a little bit more of a bespoke, kind of figuring out what their budget is and then working it, backwards from there.
I would definitely agree with all of that. The financial institutions with a $100 budget, making sure that you have some gift sets for them. And as far as discounting, it's kind of the last thing on my mind, to be honest with you, because it's a business and they have a budget. And as long as you're fitting within that budget, I start there, and then I find a great gift set that will work in there. Every once in a while, my main goal is to build that relationship with whoever's on the phone with me. A lot of times that's the assistant. And so building that relationship. So if you kind of quote them something and then you're like, you know what, for you, Susan, we're going to give you a little something extra. You get to be the great person, and let the assistant come back and be the hero of she worked out or they worked out a really great deal for the business. So I think it's always great to start with their budget first, find a gift that works in there. And you don't always have to think in terms of discounting, even if they're doing a large volume order.
Great, thank you. All right, so we could probably talk all day about pricing, customization, all the ins and outs, but let's take a step back. And what would you say is the hardest or biggest challenge you've had when managing a corporate gifting program? I'm going to ask Sonia first, then Kelly, and then Susan. Anything that you've learned over your years with your experience?
I think the hardest is getting someone that can be really dedicated and focused to it. So I love the fact that, front end has got Kelly, right? So you've got one person who's managing this team, and that's what she lives, eats, sleeps, and breathes is corporate gifting and VIP client services. And we've got someone over here now that's really focused on that, and it's just giving him the tools to grow it. But the rest of the team has to be able to support it. So there's a lot of communication that has to go on so that your tasting room frontline team knows how to talk about corporate gifting. If you're inbound or an outbound phone company, like we use Vino Pro, so they know to talk about corporate gifting and what the options are. And so you've got to make sure that you're getting everybody on the same page.
Yeah, I would agree, getting everyone on the same page. I think for a lot of wineries, it's hard to understand just how robust you can make your corporate gifting program and kind of with minimal overhead. I think that is one of the most amazing things about the corporate gifting team. I sell, the department sells a good amount of wine without really ever opening a bottle. You just build those relationships and those connections, and you can sell it from there. Having a knowledgeable team, and then having a team that is really set on detail, eye for detail. Those have been the biggest pitfalls is putting through a large order and not looking over the sheet well enough. And so having implemented a program where no large order gets placed without someone else's eyes checking over it has saved a lot of heartache.
Well, Jen, I guess I would sum up what everybody is saying here as learn to ask better questions. That's the big takeaway that I want you to hear. Every error that has ever happened, and all of us have been a party to it, I wanted to make a joke about that. How long do you have? And I'll tell you the mistakes that I've made. All of them come from a lack of communication or understanding. And if you think you have asked enough questions about the corporate gift needs of a business, find yourself asking another question. Go a little deeper. Every error that I have encountered comes from a lack of understanding and not asking another question or a better question. So that's where I think that the best of corporate sales takes place, is in great communication. And communication starts with you asking the right questions. So I say, and I say it in virtually every class I teach for WISE, I say it is more powerful to be able to ask great questions than it is to have all the answers in the book.
Yes, I love that. I love hearing you say that too. So playing off of that, the one key takeaway or lessons from your mistakes, Kelly, Sonia, what would you like for everyone listening and watching? What's the one thing you would say or share with them from that you would for a learning tip?
Well, I think it was the everybody on the same page, what I just said. And then I also just think just start. I mean, that's the thing, right? It's the same as like, oh, I got to go exercise today. Like you got to get up and you got to do it. And so if you aren't doing corporate, gifting, go back to your office, look at your inventory and come up with some duos and trios and get started. And you'll be surprised what will start building very quickly.
Yeah, I agree with everyone. And I think I've talked a couple times about my biggest pitfall, which is just making sure you're looking at it, everything's detailed, everything's in place. And you got to start somewhere. So just start talking to your clients on the phone and see what they're looking for and how your winery can fit their needs. Because every winery has a little bit something different to offer, and just start asking those right questions, like Susan said, to learn about what your clients are looking for and how you can best take care of them.
Great, thank you. I know we could talk for hours, and it's been very, very interesting information. I'm going to share the contact information, so everyone, if anyone watching has any questions and wants to follow up with us, we'd love to hear from you. And please put questions in chat. We'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation. So thank you very much. Thank my panelists for all your insights. Really appreciate it, and hope to see you all soon.